Hi, you guys. It's Yaz. And today I'm going to answer a question that somebody asked me. They said, when does a narcissist cry? Most of the time, you're never ever going to see a narcissist cry. We know that certain narcissists, like the covert narcissists, they are very good actors and actresses. They can play the victim. They can put on the phony act. They can cry. But if you're really, really studying them, you will see that when they cry, it's not a real cry. There aren't real tears. You see them, cover their eyes and they pretend to cry. And then, when you start to back off from them, all of a sudden you take a look at them and you don't see any wet tears. That's a red flag that you're probably dealing with a narcissist who's conning you, who's faking crying. And this is what covert narcissists do. They do the fake cry when their back is up against the wall, all right? And then the minute that you change the topic or something different, you see their whole mood change. Why? Because it was all an act. But when would a narcissist really, really cry? Well, narcissists, the only time a narcissist could possibly ever cry is when either one, I'm going to tell you, they're down in the dumps, they've lost all of their supply, and they've got to hit rock bottom. For a narcissist to cry, they've got to hit rock bottom. They've got to be, down on their luck. Or the other time that a narcissist could cry is when they have a terminal illness, right? This is when the narcissist knows this is the end, okay? This is the end, when they're extremely, extremely sick. And that's when the narcissist knows that they're going to face judgment day with God. And all that they've done, they're going to have to face, all right? Narcissists try to suppress those type of thoughts. They don't want to think about things like that. But now it's becoming a reality that the end is close, and that's when a narcissist could cry. That's when you may see a totally, totally different narcissist. You'll see a totally different narcissist when the narcissist is down as opposed to when the narcissist is doing well. When the narcissist is down, they could even humble themselves, all right, because they need you. And, they're in a bad place. But once that narcissist gets out of that, let's say they're feeling better or things are going well for them, that's when the narcissist gets strong. And that's when the narcissist gets strong, that's when they're going to be abusive to you, okay? The only time I ever saw a narcissist cry was when their dog died, okay? In two instances, narcissists that I knew, when it came to other things with other people, even with their children, they never cried. I knew a narcissist whose father's died and he never cried. But when his dog died, he was crying hysterically. I couldn't believe it. All right? Why? Because narcissists, they don't trust people, but they would trust an animal over a person. All right. Now, when it comes to animals, narcissists could go two ways. They could either really, really abuse an animal, or they could become more attached to an animal than they could to a person because they feel they could trust an animal more than they could trust a human being. So that's the only time that, in my personal experience, I've ever seen a narcissist cry is either when they're very, very sick or when their pet died. All right. Because the thing with narcissists is this, you guys, they detach their feelings. People ask all the time, well, does a narcissist have feelings? Yeah, they have feelings, but the difference with them as opposed to the normal person is they can block those feelings. And I've had covert narcissists actually tell me this. They block certain feelings of depression, feelings of unhappiness. They just block it out. This is how they survive. This is their survival tactic, is to block out things that they don't want to feel. And, because it is so painful for them, because they are fragile human beings. They are very, very fragile, and they can't handle anything that is, painful. That's why, like I said in my other podcast, I had somebody mention about how her boyfriend, he lost his brother. And instead of crying, he wanted to have sex with her. And she couldn't understand. Why would he want to have sex with her? His brother just died. Because what the narcissist is doing is they're trying to block out those kind of feelings and replace it with feelings of pleasure. That's also like when you break up with the narcissist is going to run and go have a lot of sex. They're not going to go home, sit there, cry, worry about you. They're going to replace the feelings of depression with feelings of happiness, feelings of pleasure. So this is, again, understand, this is how they survive as to not to collapse. The narcissist is trying to prevent themselves from having a narcissistic collapse. So generally, a narcissist, because they detach their feelings, you're not going to see them cry, right? You're really not going to see them cry. Only in very rare instances would you see a narcissist cry, and that would be when they are, at their lowest point, you would see a narcissist cry. But the other thing, too, is narcissists will have a mixture of feelings when they're at their lowest point. Let's say they're in a hospice and they're dying. They could be torturing people and trying to, because they're so angry, they want to pay people back. So they may, be very cruel to the workers in a nursing home, or cruel to family members that might come visit them because they're bitter and angry and they take it out at who's ever around. But the narcissist, they could cry while they're even by themselves because they may not even want you to see it. Narcissists don't want to show anybody that they're crying because it's a sign of weakness in their minds. When you cry, it's a sign of weakness, and a narcissist never wants to be looked at as weak. So a lot of times a narcissist could cry and not ever show you. They could cry on their, when they're alone. But again, they would have to be at the pits of hell, all right, in order to feel let those emotions come. It would have to be like in extreme circumstances where they've really, really, hit the wall. They have absolutely no supply. They could be in prison. They could be dying. They could have no money and be at the lowest point. Those are the only extreme instances where possibly a narcissist might cry. And if they did cry, they would never want to show you. And if they did cry, it could be also to work on your emotions to get some kind of help out of you, all right? Because now they're at a point of desperation and they may need your help. So narcissists, when you're dealing with the narcissist, don't ever expect to see them cry. And understand that they could cry, but they'll never, ever want to show you they're crying unless they're crying, doing a fake cry to manipulate you, to try to get your sympathy so that you help them, all right? So those are the times of when a narcissist would cry. And the other thing, too, is when you cry in front of a narcissist, number one, they look at you like you're weak, all right? Or if you're dealing with a covert narcissist, they'll just sit there and stare at you and make you feel like, you're crazy, you have mental issues, look at you, you're falling apart, you can't even, hold yourself together. So the way they look at crying is in a very negative way, because a narcissist feels that if they show their emotions, they're weak. And they also, like I said before, remember what I told you, they like to block their emotions so that they don't have to feel these kind of things. They do their best to try to suppress feelings of depression. I knew narcissists, like when they were depressed, they'd say, oh, I'll worry about it. I'll worry about it tomorrow. Or I'm not going to worry about it now. See, narcissists don't worry. They're not people that are looking to resolve things. They don't care about resolving things. They're looking to feel pleasure. So instead, they're going to redirect their minds to things that bring them happiness. And this could be, running out and having sex. This could be going and drinking and their addictions, drinking, doing drugs, popping pills, some of them are addictive gamblers. Some of them are addicted to porn. So rather than sit there and cry like an empath would cry, all right, an empath will funnel all that unhappiness by maybe crying Whereas a narcissist would funnel all that unhappiness by replacing it with their addictions to, avoid feeling depressed. That's why a lot of people may turn to drugs and alcohol, because they're trying to numb themselves out. They're trying to numb themselves out because they don't want to cry. They don't want to get depressed. Because they're already depressed people. This is what people don't realize. The narcissist, you sit there and you seek revenge on them, but they're already damaged and unhappy. That's why they do what they do, because they're very, very unhappy people. They're people that are filled with anxiety and depression. They're people that became abusive because of, a lot of times, childhood trauma, not always childhood trauma, but because of what they endured. It could have been poor parenting, either over-validation or under-validation. Maybe a parent abandoned them. Maybe a parent abused them. So a lot of what a narcissist learns is from their environment, okay? And that's why they say, oh, do they have the same playbook? Well, they learn from other narcissists. Narcissists learn from other narcissists. They learn how to manipulate. They learn how to gaslight. They learn the silent treatment. A lot of narcissists that give the silent treatment, they learned it from maybe their toxic parents. All right? They saw their parents did that, and they figure, oh, well, if my parents do that, I'm going to do that. See, you could have two children, and one will take the route of, or rather the path of darkness, and become just like their narcissistic parent, where they treat their children the same way. Give them the silent treatment, be Stonewall Jackson, gaslight them, lie, always blame them, judge them, criticize them. And then you have another child who says, you know what, I don't want to be like that parent. They're more the truth teller that believes in, speaking the truth. They're more a person who's got the Holy Spirit in them that realize that you should do the right thing. You should speak the truth. You should walk in the truth. Whereas the other child, followed the path of darkness of maybe their narcissistic parent, or maybe they learned it from their friends that were like that, how to play people, how to manipulate people. This is what they were around. This is what they saw. And they modeled it. And they became like that. And so the other thing is, they're also going to model the fact that they're going to try not to show their emotions. Especially if you're dealing with a covert narcissist, because a covert narcissist does not want to show their emotions because they don't want to look weak. So, understand this. Covert narcissists can stay very much in control. They're not shy. They may appear shy to some people, but they're not shy. It's just that they're quiet. They're quiet and they're calculating, and they're always studying everybody. But they try to keep their emotions in check because they don't want you to be able to read them. Because they feel if you read them, then that gives you a certain, superiority over them if you're able to read them and figure them out. They don't ever. One thing, and let me tell you something, I've been around a lot of covert narcissists, a lot. I know these people inside out. And one thing that I could tell you is they never want you to be able to read them. Never. That's why they're always passive aggressive, because they don't want you to know what they're thinking, what they're feeling, or what they're doing. So that's another reason why you won't see a covert narcissist cry unless that covert narcissist is trying to manipulate you for something. And like I said before, it's not that they don't cry, but if they do cry, they're going to try to do it when you're not around, okay? They may cry silently by themselves over things, although they'll try to suppress it. They're a human being like everybody else, that has a demonic spirit within them. They've gone the dark side, but they do have emotions. It's just that they know how to regulate their emotions so that they don't have to feel things, all right? They don't want to feel things. So like I said, they'll replace it with other feelings of addictions. They'll go out and they'll get drunk, or they'll smoke, or they'll run out and have sex to feel good. So again, they're suppressing the crying, they're suppressing the bad feelings and replacing it with feelings of pleasure. All right. So I hope that helps you. If it does, hit the subscribe button, share the podcast. If you're looking for confidential one-on-one phone coaching, check out the link at askyaz.wixsite.com/thegameexposed. If you're confused, you don't know if you're dealing with a narcissist and you need clarity, check it out, you guys. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do coaching because I have another project that I'm working on and I just have no time whatsoever, you guys. Also, check out my YouTube. I lay it down on YouTube. Everything's laid out on there. I have over 6,000, almost 7,000 videos now on YouTube about narcissism, everything. So just do a search on my channel at the Game Exposed podcast for whatever you're looking for on narcissism. Discard, triangulation, manipulation tactics, how the narcissist controls you, covert narcissist, future faking, love bomb, discard, devaluation, hoovering. It's all on my channel at the Game Exposed podcast on YouTube. Also, you guys, my TikTok is the Game Exposed, Facebook is the Game EXP123, and TikTok is the Game EXP123. And have a great day, you guys.